There's one build I keep coming back to when I play Cyberpunk that makes me feel like the previous edgerunner since Mr. Martinez to ever grace the streets of Night City. The Cybernetic Ninja build is what you need if you want fast-paced, high-octane, slow-motion action for your playthrough. So I'm going to go through the weapons, skills and cyberware you'll need for this Cybernetic Ninja build and delve into the playing tactics needed to use this build, and as a little extra, I'll be going into the lore of such a build and scaling it to real world feats for context. But before we begin, if you like content like this, give it a like whenever you want and subscribe. It makes a huge difference. In terms of ranking, cool is the most important for this build. Cool determines your assassination skills and stealth ability. And what else would a shinobi be without these skills? Progressing this tree to the top level will improve rifle, handguns, thrown weapons, and also gives these street smart dialogue choices. Overall, most importantly, this skill tree improves crit damage, pairing nicely with the potential crit chance stats we will see later. For this build, I am concentrating on the weapons of a shinobi, which, in cool, mainly involves throwing knives. At the bottom of the tree, the skill, Kill Instinct, offers 25% damage with knives, axes, and silenced weapons outside of combat, and also offers a damage preview. Pair this with the 125 plus headshot damage or roundabout for most silenced weapons means that this is an essential skill to have. Next, all skills leading to the juggler perk, which is going to allow us to recover our throwable weapons a lot more quickly. Not only this, but it gives us 20% headshot and weak spot damage with throwable weapons. At level 3, the instant cooldown reset allows us to immediately recover throwable weapons if the enemy has been neutralized via headshot, crit hit or poison. Associated finisher, Act of Mercy, which allows us to take out enemies with low health instantly with style over substance, which boosts the stats of retrieved knives first attack to 200 plus damage, paired with style over substance, which guarantees crit hits with throwable weapons when crouched, sprinting, sliding, dodging or dashing, is a deadly combo that is going to allow us to constantly arm ourselves with throwing knives and take out most enemies with 1 to 2 shots on very hard difficulty. In 2077 we are modern day shinobis, so we are going to invest into the left hand side of cool as well to improve our rifle, sniper and pistol damage when things get a bit hairy. The skills Focus, Deadeye, Run and Gun and Nerves of Tungsten, which will overall stop us from draining stamina when firing from the hip and will give us some sweet headshot damage, making us into a very efficient killing machine. Pistols, rifles and snipers will now do crit damage when going for the head, which we should be doing every time, just like Thanos taught us. Here is my skill tree for reference. Next is Reflexes, which arguably no build can do without, as dash has become so essential for moving around that Cyberpunk feels slow without it. You're going to want to perk into the middle tree containing the perk Slippery and Air Dash. Using the ability to air dash without draining stamina is very useful for this build, as it allows you to move quickly, constantly, without worrying about if dash is going to take away from stamina, which can be reserved for shooting when in need. And having enough stamina to deflect bullets with your sword, effectively creating a shield, meaning when your health is low you will be able to use this technique to back out of danger and recoup your Sendevistan and health and then dive back into the fray. Of course, this means unlocking the lead and steel to level 2 to deflect bullets, Finisher Blade Runner to level 3 for blade finishers, and going the distance, which is key for increasing your finisher range. This results in V being able to fly across the battlefield to dispose of foes, giving you that shinobi teleportation mystique. In fact, the lore for this seems to suggest that V is moving so fast that enemies can barely react, as they fail to turn or notice, and in a split second, it is done. These are enemies who, some of which have the latest pieces of cyberware themselves, including Kuroshi optics, which are top of the line, but many users' eyes have been adapted in other ways. Next, technical ability. To become a cybernetic ninja, you need access to the best cyberware you can get. This means also acquiring the build needed by shinobi to bear such a heavy burden of cyberware. Training our body with years of training, who needs that? Let's just chip our body instantly and become a badass. Perks which increase our cyberware capacity, allow us to choose specific modifiers, are important here. That's why we are going to acquire License to Chrome and the associated perks such as Built Different, which allows us to chip the cellular adapter, a powerful piece of cyberware that relies on our attunement with our technical ability attribute. For each point in the technical attribute, we gain 1% explosion resistance, 0.5 tech weapon damage, and 0.5 health item recharge speed with 0.5 grenade recharge speed. It also increases armor by 74 to 146. A very beneficial piece of cyberware. We will also aim to acquire the edgerunner perk. This perk will let us exceed our cyberware capacity up to 50 points at the cost of 0.5 our health. And when neutralizing enemies, there's a chance we can go into a fury state for a further 10% damage, 30% critical chance, and 50% plus critical damage, which lasts 12 seconds. Overall, here is the skill tree for your reference. With that, we segue into cyberware. V, a 23-year-old cyberware junkie by the time of 2077, is able to chip military-grade cyberware quite casually. Military-grade cyberware is what we are going to need. Starting off for the most important, we are going to chip the Militech Apogee Semdevistan, the same Semdevistan used by the legend David Martinez. This Semdevistan allows V to receive time slowed to 90% and not be slowed. This translates to V being able to move at well over speeds of 180 miles per hour in a fraction of a second. This tidy piece of cyberware allows the manual activation and deactivation at any charge level, meaning a skilled user can use it in key moments while engaging in combat with the purpose of closing the distance quickly or to activate it just in time when attacking to enable the 10% headshot damage, 14% crit chance, and 13% crit damage. Not only this, but neutralizing an enemy when active adds a 20% duration and also replenishes 22% to stamina. This is a key piece of cyberware that is going to enable us to have those high-octane fights, and it's simply a joy to use. Next, our eyes. Truly, any piece of cyberware that offers us scanning bonuses are good here. However, from the airdrops in Phantom Liberty, you can acquire the Kuroshi Cockatrice optics, aptly named after the mythical beast in The Witcher, and from history. This piece of cyberware gives V increased crit chance by 30% and some additional headshot damage, health, and stealth. This item can be picked up in airdrops in Dogtown or at Ripper Docks after reaching level 55. So far, V is feeling like a million eddies. If a scav were to knock out V, they would be jumping for joy with how much prime gear they would have. But let's continue. What is a ninja build without great reaction time? That's why we will be chipping Korezikov for when we shoot, which itself allows us to shoot and dodge and slow down time with the visual cortex support, which improves crit chance the further we are away. Next, we want to be able to disappear like a shinobi does. That means optical camo cyberware is a must. This implant, when activated, reduces our visibility to enemies by 30 to 90% for 4 to 7 seconds. This cyberware has a maximum of 70 and a minimum of 50-second cooldown, but can be further reduced with additional cyberware perks. It also increases armor by 15 to 30. Another piece of cyberware is the blood pump. which allows us to heal on the fly. The blood pump can also be upgraded to increase carrying capacity or health. The blood pump instantly restores 110 health, then generates 23 health per second for 6 seconds at tier 3, compared to the max stock Mark 5 inhaler, which gives 126 health and does not continue healing after. The blood pump Cyberware seems to inject a cocktail made of rich plasma and some other substances, which allows V to regenerate for a limited amount of time. Now that we have named the essential pieces of Cyberware, get any Cyberware that suits you. Cyberware that blocks quick hacks is useful, as well as Cyberware that boosts other pieces of Cyberware, such as the Krezikov boost system, which reduces stamina costs when shooting. Here's a list of Cyberware, but play around with your build to see how you do, and let us know if you find better ones for this build in the comments. A shinobi's weapons normally include a katana and throwing knives, so let's start there. In the Badlands we are going to get the iconic Blue Fang, a neurotoxin knife which boasts an impressive 150% headshot damage, 20% bleeding chance, pairing up with our cool bleeding perk, and 50% poison chance. This knife has a unique effect that it stuns enemies on hit, meaning they will be helpless for a few seconds depending on where they are hit. Enemies outside of combat are stunned immediately, which is great for stealth as well as combat, as it stops enemies from firing at you, letting you grab them to use as a human shield and block bullets. Next, we head to Pacifica to this weapons vendor, where we can find the Headhunter iconic throwing knife, again boasting some impressive stats with 150 headshot damage multiplier and 20+% bleeding chance. When thrown, this knife marks enemies on hit. Attacking the enemy's head with any weapon after this does 200% damage and returns their headhunter to the user, and clears the mark of death you have placed upon them. These two knives are essential for this build, allowing you to dart around with the finisher perk and drain enemies' life force with bleeding. Next, we have some essential katanas we must have, starting with the Uzumotogi, which has a high electrical damage output, which is great for attacking maelstromers and mechs, doing additional damage. This sword is acquired via the Judy mission, where you take on the Tiger Claws. A must-have blade is the Byakko. This blade is acquired by finishing order jobs given by Wakako. This blade lets you leap towards enemies with a strong charged attack. Not only this, but when you kill them, it allows you to do an onslaught of rapid strikes, which when paired with the Sandevistan creates a blur of strikes which produces unalive individuals at your feet. Truly a monster of a sword. If you kill enemies fast enough, this also extends your Sandevistan usage by 20% and gives 22% back to stamina, which means a very extended duration if you're quick enough. Ultimately, it means this V is moving at well over 112 miles per hour, able to cover 5 meters in a fraction of a second. This kind of augmentation is not common in Night City for enemies you run into. And there you have it, a Cybernetic Ninja build. If you have any suggestions that will make this specific build stronger, let the people know in the comments. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. It makes a huge difference. See you next time.